Ever since Gervonta Tank Davis has elected to fight Jake Paul as opposed to going the route of the Lamont Roach rematch, there's been a lot of debate and discussion as to whether or not Tank has ducked Roach or not. And I want to give a disclaimer. Before we get into it, I want to let y'all know that, those of you unfamiliar with my channel, that my favorite fighters have always been Clarissa Shields, Cinnamon, Terrence Bud Crawford, Junta Nakatani, and Gervonta Tank Davis. And there's some other people as well, but those are my top 5 probably. You know what I'm saying? If I had to go down to it. But I'm not deluded. I could honestly say, emphatically say, Gervonta Tank Davis definitely ducked Lamont Roach. And if you're patient enough, I'll explain to you why.
Hello guys, it's Rolly Romero.
Yo, my name is Nonito Donaire. What's up guys, Designer's Eyes.
We're here with Bob Santos Boxing.
And I rock with Dr. Boxing Talk.
I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Boxing Talk.
And I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Boxing Talk. Thank you for all the love, thank you for all the support.
You're rocking with Dr. Boxing Talk. Get your daily news from my man right here, the best in the business. Let's get it, baby.
All day, baby.
Amen.
Bam!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you'll say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk. We are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. But before we get to it, let's go ahead and smack that like button. Let's do it together. I appreciate you. That helps us to keep going and growing on this YouTube platform. And you know us, right? I really say that I really do this, this boxing stuff. I really appreciate the sport. I love the sport. And I feel like that bleeds through my content. You know what I'm saying? I am very unbiased.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
And I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I just say that's what it is. I give you unfiltered content. Gervonta Tank Davis is one of my favorite fighters. I challenge the majority of you that call yourself Tank fans. I would say that I probably like Tank more than you do as far as when it comes to the boxing realm. It's just that y'all like him for things outside of boxing. I like him in the capacity of a boxer. I think that some of y'all like him in the capacity of a love interest.
Nigga, you gay.
And I think that's very weird and unbecoming of an adult that's unfamiliar, unaware, and pretty much strangers with this person. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that because I like these fighters for fighting and boxing, I could objectively give an assessment without worrying about allegiances or loyalties or a false sense of those subjects, right? So it's easy for me to look at this situation between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis and give an accurate and effective assessment. And that assessment is that he avoided the Lamont Roach rematch. The controversial first fight ended in a draw, right? Because what transpired, you already know. I ain't got to go over that, right? We ain't got to readdress that, right? So we expected a rematch. In fact, the WBA and President Gilberto Mendoza said this. Mendoza will likely make a motion for the WBA Championships Committee to vote on an immediate rematch. So yeah, they were poised to pursue the rematch. Now it is the WBA, right? And they do a lot of things that seem a little shaky, right? Because they don't really make a definite, certain, sure answer or adhere to the rules all the time. And that's the problem with these sanctioning bodies and these administrative figures, right? Because they give these fighters and people a lot of leeway, a lot of times to the administration's benefit. I'm not blaming Tank for this. I'm blaming the WBA, and I will get into that later, right? They're saying that they want it. They're poised to pursue it. They didn't say that they ordered it. You see what I'm saying? And because they didn't flat out say that they ordered it, this gives Gervonta Tank Davis and any other fighter the wiggle room to move how they please. So I want to say that to that extent, I want to say I don't blame Gervonta Tank Davis for fighting Jake Paul. It's an easier fight and you get compensated more. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't take the fight if I was in his position. Of course, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And ideally, you would get paid and compensated the most for your efforts, right? Yeah. And so if you could go and give less effort in a Jake Paul fight than you have to give it a Shakur or a Lamont Roach fight, and you get compensated more, that's just common sense. So I don't knock him for that. However, I am a boxing fan. And as a boxing fan, I want to see top-notch boxers against other top-notch boxers. Let's correlate this to the NBA. I don't want to see LeBron James play against a good basketball player that makes content. No, I want to see LeBron James against Steph Curry. I want to see Steph Curry against Luka Doncic. I want to see Luka Doncic against Giannis. Giannis against Jokic. Jason Tatum in there too. I could go on forever. You get the point. I don't want to see these phenomenal top athletes go against guys that are popular just because they're popular and they're okay at the sport. No knock to Jake Paul. I rock with Jake Paul. I think his influence in the boxing game is phenomenal, but he's still not a top-notch boxer. There's 100 other fighters that I would prefer take the fight over Jake Paul. That's more justified and based off of merit. But this is the more lucrative deal, so I don't blame him for that. But why can't we separate the two? Why do we have to conflate it? I don't blame him for taking the fight, but that don't mean I have to like it as a boxing fan. I don't want to see anybody that's a top boxer fight Jake Paul. You see what I'm saying? That's not something I'm into. If you are, that's cool for you. But if you're not interested in Shakur fighting Jake Paul, if you're not interested in Canelo fighting Jake Paul, if you're not interested in Terrence Crawford fighting Jake Paul, why are you okay with Gervonta fighting Jake Paul?
Boom.
It's because you're infatuated with this man for no reason. You see what I'm saying? Because you like these boxers more than you like the sport. And I think that's why you're standing on shaky ground right now. You have no foundation, nothing of substance to substantiate your claims. And that's why you look so wishy-washy, because you're not solid. You see what I'm saying? And it's crazy. Like, let's stick to the NBA. I love the NBA, right? I like Kevin Durant. I could objectively say that Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors was a weak move because it was the easiest route, right? That doesn't mean that I don't like Kevin Durant anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't like the Warriors anymore. It doesn't mean I don't like basketball anymore. But I could objectively say that I personally, for the sake of parity and the sake of competition, I would have preferred Kevin Durant to go to a different team to where it wouldn't have been such an easy route to a championship. That doesn't mean I don't like Kevin Durant because I made an objective assessment. So I could objectively say with Tank, he's going the easier route and I don't like it because I like to see top competition, but I don't knock him for it. You see what I'm saying? And I want to stick with the WBA. Remember I mentioned the WBA earlier, and this is what the WBA does, because Tank's not the only one that's ducking either. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that Tank is ducking Lamont Roach because he's scared of him, or I think he's ducking him because he's avoiding the rematch that we expected that the WBA President Gilberto Mendoza was poised to make, right? So because that was a hard fight and we expected him to go that route and he didn't and he avoided it, then by definition, he's ducking. There's nothing else. It's very simple and plain. It's black and white. There's nothing else. You can remove your feelings out of it. You don't have to be emotional. He ducked him. That doesn't mean that he's scared of him. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to fight him. That doesn't mean that he won't fight him eventually. But until he fights him, he's ducking him.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. Now let's go to the WBA and Naoya Inoue. You see, it's something in common. WBA President Gilberto Mendoza, they strike again, right? Because as of December 2023, Naoya Inoue was ducking MJ Akhmadaliev. And when I say that, you get mad. But before you get mad, I want you to check out this documentation. Yeah, you see what that says, right? I don't need to read it for you, do I? So, well, you know what? I'm going to read it for you just in case some of y'all are incompetent and illiterate. Let me read it for you. Akhmadaliev, a 2016 Olympic bronze medalist, has been Inoue's mandatory since a December 2023 knockout win over Kevin Gonzalez, who was undefeated, by the way. I watched that fight, in Glendale, Arizona. Inoue Akhmadaliev was twice ordered by the WBA in 2024. We are now in 2025. You see what I'm saying? So on both occasions, concessions were made for Inoue to face another opponent. Inoue was first permitted to face TJ Doheny in a voluntary title defense, despite the fact that his ordered mandatory with Akhmadaliev was due to head to a purse bid hearing. I'm not going to read anymore because you get my point. You see what I'm saying? So you see, this is WBA with suspicious behavior again. It's not a coincidence that once again, it's the WBA and President Gilberto Mendoza. As you can see right there, MJ Akhmadaliev, since 2023 of December of 2023, he was ordered to fight Naoya Inoue. That means that when Naoya Inoue fought Louis Neary, he should have fought MJ Akhmadaliev. Yeah. That means when Naoya Inoue fought TJ Doheny, he should have fought MJ Akhmadaliev. Yeah. That means when he tried to fight Sam Goodman and instead he fought Yi Ju Kim, he should have fought MJ Akhmadaliev. Yeah. That means when he tried to fight David Allen Picasso Romero and when he tried to fight him, but instead he fought Ramon Cardenas, he should have fought MJ Akhmadaliev. Yeah. So when I say these things, people get mad. They think I don't like Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue is also one of my favorite fighters to watch. How could you not like him? Top 3 pound for pound. Him, Terrence Crawford, and Usyk. They're all achieved the phenomenal feat of being undisputed in 2 different weight classes, and undefeated while doing it. What's not to like? But my fandom for them doesn't remove me from reality. And the reality is that he avoided MJ Akhmadaliev. That doesn't, again, just like Tank and Lamont Roach, that doesn't mean that Naoya Inoue is scared of MJ Akhmadaliev. Doesn't mean that he'll think he'll lose. But for him, at that time, he thought that the risk did not match the reward to fight MJ Akhmadaliev. And the governing body, the WBA, who makes these rules, that should enforce these rules, that should make these champions and fighters adhere to these rules, they made concessions for Naoya Inoue to not fight him. So until Naoya Inoue fights MJ Akhmadaliev, he ducked him as well. Now he's not ducking him because he's about to fight him shortly. Obviously, we all know that. But until he did, he was avoiding MJ Akmadaliev as well. So you need to get out your deluded emotional feelings and be able to make these accurate and effective assessments. Or you can come to this channel, continue to come to this channel, and I'll do it for you. There's no knock, bro. Like I don't know why people conflate these things or mix their feelings with these things. Some things are complicated, but some things aren't. And these are one of the things that are complicated. This is not complicated at all. Gervonta Tank Davis avoided Lamont Roach for an easier fight to Jake Paul, and now you anyway avoided MJ Akmadaliev for 4 easier fights in the aforementioned fighters that are already listed. What's the problem? You see what I'm saying? That's why I don't understand, and that's why I can't relate to a lot of these goofballs and these fans, because you know the word fan is short for fanatic, and they act fanatical about these fighters that they don't know. It's clear cut for you. I know, even though I showed you the documentation, I know a lot of people will still jump in the comments and say that, oh, Doc, you're making that up. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, it's not just me. That means that these writers and these pundits and these aficionados in boxing, you know, the people that actually get paid in a capacity to report these things, even President Gilberto himself, President Gilberto Mendoza, who's the head of the WBA, I guess they don't know what they're talking about either. They're just making it up. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I don't research and study these things. You know what I'm saying? I don't try my best to put forth my best effort. And you don't come to this channel for unbiased news until, well, yeah, you actually do until you disagree with me. You see what I'm saying? And you disagree with me probably because you're emotional about something that needs no emotions, needs no feelings. Tank ducked Lamont Roach. Now you in the way ducked MJ Akmadaliev. I could go on with other examples as well, but that doesn't mean that these fighters are. I don't think Gervonta Tank Davis is scared of anybody. I don't think Naoya Inoue is scared of anybody, but they do. This is a business, and you do make assessments and be like, okay, bet this risk outweighs this reward. This reward outweighs this risk. So you make your appropriate decision based on you and based on yourself. I wish all of them the best. Of course, you want to make the most money that you can, right? So I don't knock them for making the choice. But that choice doesn't change the assessment. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it's any less true. You see what I'm saying? I like Nafisha Williams, Taraji P. Henson, and Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like the fact that they're not with me and they're with somebody else. But that doesn't change the reality just because I don't like it. You feel me? They still not with me. You understand what I'm saying? So the fact that you don't like that Gervonta Tank Davis is called a duck, or Naoya Inoue was called a duck for avoiding MJ Akmadaliev, or Lamont Roach and MJ Akmadaliev respectively, that doesn't change the fact that their actions reflect that. And that's all I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, we could applaud them for getting the money and controlling their own destiny. That's dope. But the fact that they did that is still obvious that they avoided what we anticipated and what we wanted them to do as boxing fans. And that was to fight the next best person up. And with the controversial decision with Lamont Roach that Gervonta Tank Davis had, we all wanted that fight. And I don't understand, if you're a real boxing fan, how can you be okay? Well, not even, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Jake Paul and Tank. I'm going to watch it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them. But that still doesn't cloud my judgment and make me incapable of saying, hey, man, this fight is trash.
Know your fucking place, trash.
I don't want to see anybody fight Jake Paul, but I recognize what Jake Paul does for the sport. You know what I'm saying? But I could think if Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul would make more sense because it's a similar weight class. You know what I'm saying? The weight disparity is not as big as Jake versus Tank, but even Anthony Joshua, I'd rather see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. There's no fighter in the sport of boxing that would fight Jake Paul, and I couldn't think of a better option, a more intriguing, more competitive option than Jake Paul. If Anthony Joshua was fighting Jake Paul, I would be okay with it, but I'd rather him fight Tyson Fury. If Canelo was fighting Jake Paul, I'd be okay with it, but I'd rather him fight David Benavidez. Tank is fighting Jake Paul, I'm okay with it, but I'd rather him fight Lamont Roach or Shakur Stevenson or somebody like that. Why can't you make that same assessment? Because you're a groupie. I can't relate. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.